Hey, what's up all you lonely watchers out there? It's Lonely Fubuki back with another YoKai Watch video. And today, we are going to be coming back with another episode of Viz Does What Nintendo. Yes, the YoKai Watch manga, like I said in the previous episode, was a great adaptation. Viz did really well and didn't make any of the other mistakes that the other companies involved with localizing YoKai Watch did. And the first manga was actually great. So how fair did the second one do? I got this one a few weeks ago and I read it through a few times and I just absolutely love it almost as much as the first one. And I'm told like it kind of gets worse after the second one, but who knows, maybe it doesn't. Let's find out when we read through the YoKai Watch manga, Volume 2. Fun fact, I actually have two of these because the other week I ordered Volume 3 and the publisher sent me Volume 2. So they gave me a refund and I used it to try and buy Volume 3 again. So I hope that comes, and if it does come, maybe I'll do a video on that one, who knows. I mean, you guys seem to have liked the first video and I sure hope you like the second one. So let's get into it. Chapter 1, Nate the Bad Boy. In this one, it starts off with Whisper being mean towards Nate in the morning with his pompadour. And then when they go to school, it turns out Eddie's doing the same thing, which is weird for him because he isn't normally like this. So we scan a YoKai Watch to find Ruffraff, the yokai that makes you act mischievous. He ended up turning Nate into a bad boy before they summoned Jibanyan to deal with the situation, who also ended up turning into a bad boy, which is where we get Wadonyan, or Badinyan, which is one of the cutest Jibanyan variants out there. Jibanyan ends up turning on Nate for a bit until he sees the error of his ways when Nate tries to protect Jibanyan, and they team up against Ruffraff and finally beat him into befriending him. Well, this chapter is pretty good, probably like a 7 out of 10, probably an average one, but actually probably 8 out of 10 because the story is kind of cute here. The next chapter is titled Just Snap Out of It, in which we see the yokai Days after he ends up messing with Nate's morning routine by making him, you know, daze. He ends up following us around and keeps making us doze off, so we end up having to summon Jibanyan to deal with him because we have no other solutions here. Until Daze just flies straight up, hits a pole, and becomes unconscious again. This one is a bit too short for my liking, and it's not really a good story, so I'll probably rate it like a 6 out of 10. Getting in trouble with the yokai Negas is the next. Don't Give In to the Dark Side is the next one, which features the yokai Negas. Jibanyan and Keita find a coin on the ground and are fighting over what to spend it on, either snacks or the latest Koro comic. Which I just have to say, I love how they keep plugging the Koro comic in this. It's great. So amazing. Until they see someone running out on the street with a bunch of snacks. This person had clearly just robbed a convenience store until they were tackled by the owner and Jibanyan went to go take the candy instead. This isn't like Jibanyan, so we use our YoKai Watch and find out it was the yokai Negas making him give in to his temptations of evil. Summoning Happy Air doesn't work as he makes him go into his temptations. Mochismo doesn't end up working, although Negas does get stuck to him, Mochismo does give in to his temptations as well. Then after we save him from getting hit by a truck, he ends up befriending us and realizes the error of his ways before we all dig into some snacks, where we end up thinking Jibanyan was the one who stole them, but it turns out they weren't stolen. We spent the 500 yen coin that we found in the beginning on all these snacks. So, I guess Keita never gets his way. Next one, chapter 11, or the fourth one in this book. A yokai boils over in the bath, which is where we have these intense face-off with Sproink, who's making the public bath way too hot. So hot it's making people pass out, so we shine our YoKai Watch to see Sproink in there making everything hot. We call Jibanyan to deal with it, and that doesn't work very well. until he ends up slipping on some soap, which ends up absolutely destroying Spike in the end, so I guess mistakes are the best at defending against your enemies. After an intense battle with slipping around and fire and soap and all the rest, we end up beating Spike, and he doesn't become our friend. Introducing the boss yokai is weird in this series, because after all these times when they got to become our friend, they didn't this time, and they said they're going to strike again in other places. Overall, I'd probably rate this one a 7 out of 10. It's kind of an average one again for me. Next one, Chapter 12, Don't Catch a Cold, featuring the sore throat yokai Cough, who it turns out is making people sick in the town because everybody seems to be sick today. And after seeing a line of patients outside the hospital with the sniffles, on a summer day, mind you, we decide to use the yokai watch to find out that Cough is the one behind this, spreading his germs. Jibanyan happens to be here, and he ends up accidentally touching his Cough spikes, which transforms him into Thornyan, the sick Jibanyan. Again, I like that they introduced the fusions here in this edition. Though this does end up being to their advantage, because it does mean that Jibanyan can end up fighting Cough until we beat him and we do our whatever this is. This one I'll probably rate, again, a 6 out of 10, like it's okay. Next one, Life is Short. Stand Up for Your Friends, featuring the Cicada yokai Kaden, which usually he would be the first yokai that we meet, but not here. We end up going bug hunting with our friends. The bugs are getting released though, so we think it's a yokai, so we shine our light to see that it's the Cicada yokai Kaden, who's freeing his friends from danger. It turns out he just wants to protect his friends because he knows his life will be short, even though that doesn't make sense. I mean, yes, he is a cicada, but he's dead already, so I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. After some Jibanyan action with some unconventional Paws of Fury, we end up beating him. He does feel bad, though, for Kaden. Kata feels bad for Kaden, I mean. So he ends up purposely letting Bear and Eddie's but rare bugs go in Kaden's interest. After that, we've become friends with him, finally. And then we bury him one last time when he dies. And when we summon him, a zombie pops out of the ground, so do with that what you will. Now again, this chapter was a very cute one, so I'll probably rate it an 8 out of 10 because it was very cute. And I really like the Kaden story here as opposed to how they did it everywhere else. Chapter 14, The Ancestor's Wish, featuring Ancestor yokai Shogunyan and Rejection yokai No Way. This'll be an interesting one. There are rumors at school about a ghost sword-wielding samurai at the graveyard of the Stolen Temple. So, we confidently say it's a yokai, knowing that yokai exists, and everybody else thinks we're crazy. We end up going there to investigate to find out it's the yokai Shogunyan, who does not seem to have a body at the moment. He ends up asking us to call Jibanyan over so that he can inspirit his body and use his. We end up summoning Jibanyan from his Nyan KB concert, or Next Charm Nyani, and he tries to negotiate the deal with getting Shogunyan tries to negotiate the deal with getting Jibanyan's body. Though he ends up saying no way due to the yokai No Way inspiriting him. Shogunyan then forcibly takes Jibanyan's body in order to fight No Way. He ends up completely sawing No Way in half before he tries to patch himself together. Then we use the power of double negatives to make him our friend, and Bushinyan finally gets to eat the tuna that he so wanted Jibanyan's body for. This chapter, I think is kind of a weird take, and I think I like the experimentation they did here, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Changing up the Shogunyan story, which, I would expect these to be different because I don't want to be basically doing the same thing 4 times, experiencing all these stories the same way in each form of the medium. Especially since I really like each aspect of Yokai Watch, I want to experience all of it. So reading the same stories again again, and then playing the story, and then watching the story. Doesn't sound too interesting, but the way that they shake things up in this, I really like. So, you know what? I'm gonna change it from an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. The bonus chapter, The Night School Horror, where we are looking for yokai at night in school because Whisper insists, and he keeps looking stupid, either from looking at himself in the mirror or from finding other things, until he tries to he gets to scare Nate finally, and he ends up accidentally closing him in the window. 2 out of 10. I don't like this one, really. And that is it for edition 2 of the Yokai Watch manga. Overall, pretty cute stories, pretty great. I really like it. I like it a lot more than the first one. And I really think that they introduced a smattering of new yokai and new ideas in this one. And I really like it. So, yeah, this will now go proudly onto my shelf with the first edition, and hopefully the third edition soon. So that will be it for this video. If you like it, like and subscribe. Make sure to join the Discord server, and I will see you all next week. Bye bye, my lonely watchers.